Hi everybody, it's Mel. What does casting look for in the perfect self-tape audition? First of all, I just want to remove the word perfect because there is no perfect self-tape. I feel like every actor is doing their best, and really the purpose of your self-tape audition is for us on the casting side to get a good sense of who you are, what you're going to do with the material. It's really, if I don't know you, it's the best way for me to meet you and see how you're going to show up on set. I get a sense of your professionalism. I get a sense of your acting ability. The self-tape audition really tells me, it's like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to getting to know an actor. So one of the things that I look for in self-tape audition, there's actually a few things I look for in a ideal self-tape audition. The first thing that I look for is sound. We need to hear you, obviously, right? Lighting is incredibly important. You don't have to have this huge professional lighting setup, but we do need to see you on the casting side so that we can see what you're thinking, right? The next thing that I look for in a self-tape audition is that you're framed correctly. This is incredibly important. One of the biggest mistakes I see actors make is they're not paying attention to their framing, or maybe they're just not sure the correct way to frame themselves. The best way to frame yourself is to be in the middle of the frame, right? So we have sound, we have lighting, we have framing. Background is important. Right now, I'm doing obviously a video for you on YouTube, but I would never self-tape myself with this background. It's too distracting. You have to remember, as casting directors, we see a lot of auditions, especially on the commercial side. We can see up to 100 auditions a day. So you're just naturally going to tune out when there's a distracting background, even if it's just for a minute. And I really want you as the actor to be the focal point. So making sure that you have a clean, clutter-free background is key. I also really think it's important for actors to be comfortable with their self-tape equipment. There's nothing worse than watching an actor struggle in their Zoom audition, in particular, struggling in that Zoom audition because suddenly they're asked to sit or stand and they don't really know how their equipment works, or they're just not comfortable enough with it to do it quickly. When it comes to the self-tape, something else that I look for is that you're bringing good energy to the scene, that you're making a unique choice based on who you are as an actor within the confines of the story. I think a lot of times actors forget that commercials tell a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Television scripts, film, voiceover. You're telling a story in all of those different genres. So make sure that when you're rehearsing your scene, that you're telling the story that you want to tell using the writer's words. Something else that I look for in a self-tape audition is that you're off book. It shows your professionalism. A lot of times actors are bringing their sides up on their computer or on a second device, and I can tell that they're reading, and that really takes you out of the moment. It keeps you out of, takes you out of actively listening to what's being said or done in the scene. I also look for eye lines. I want to make sure that actors are setting their eye lines so it's not confusing for me on the casting end. A good rule of thumb is 2 to 4 inches away from your camera lens, and you want to make sure that you're personalizing that relationship with the other character in the scene, right? Or else your eye lines are all over the place because you forgot where you put people. So I think that's a good rule of thumb in a self-tape. What else do I look for? Something else that's important for me on the casting side that makes my job easier is that once you've shot your self-tape, that you label it correctly, because I can see up to 100 self-tape auditions per day if I'm working on the same job for, let's say, 3 days, and actors are sending in self-tapes, and I'm organizing them. If the actor doesn't label them correctly with their name and the role, or the name and the project, sometimes it gets very confusing for us on the casting end. So I want to just make sure that because you're putting in the effort to put together a professional looking self-tape, that your audition is seen by casting. Okay, these are just some quick tips for me to help you out with an ideal self-tape so that you feel comfortable and confident when you're submitting your self-tape auditions. Check out my new YouTube channel. Woo, there's a tongue twister. Check out my YouTube channel for more tips on self-tape auditioning, for audition tips, and for overall casting tips from the casting room. Okay, I'll see you in my next video.